I think that the most prevalent misconception is how great it is. And I think it's like, I think there's been this, like the Instagram effect where there's like this heightened reality that people present online. And I meet people at meetups that want to start an indie business and their expectations are so high for what it's going to be like. Like they hear these stories about people like quitting their jobs and like 6 months later they're making $100,000 a month from some SaaS business. And they're like, that sounds great. Like I want to do that. And I met a guy at a meetup a couple of years ago and he was like, yeah, like I think I've got some customers, but you know, like we've got a lot of users. They seem really enthusiastic, but like we're just not making money. So I think I'm just going to like, I'm going to give it up and like go back to working for a big company. And like the way he was talking, he sounded so grizzled and like distraught that I was like, oh man, he seems like he's been at it for like 5 years or something. He's so burned out. And I was like, how long have you been doing this? And he was like, 3 months. I was like, 3 months? I was like, you have like active users after 3 months and like you're disappointed? As I think there's like multiple levels to it. Like I think a lot of people just aren't talking about their results. So I think if you're doing poorly, like you're just not going to talk about it publicly. And the people that are doing well, like they're going to talk about it a lot. And I think the channels where you find out about these stories, like they also, even if there's a distribution of people that are doing okay and really great, like the people that are doing really great are going to get a lot more attention. And I think there's likely people also like exaggerating results. Probably like some people like outright lying about results. So I think that's the biggest misconception is like people go into it thinking like, this is going to be a great time. Like I'm going to, you know, throw off the yoke I've been working under as like my big tech job and I'm going to have such a fun time. And I think like I prefer being an indie founder. Like a recruiter from Google reached out to me like 3 months ago and was like, you can have your old job back with no interview. And I was like, no, I'm zero tempted to do that. But I think you have to go into it expecting it's going to be hard and like, it's going to be hard in ways that are very different than working. I've only really worked in big tech. And so like the challenges of being a solo founder for an indie business are very different than the challenges of working in big tech. And it's kind of like higher highs, lower lows. So it's just very different. And like different people have dispositions that make them suited for one versus the other. Being an indie business, like you're much more vulnerable to luck. And so like if you have a lower tolerance to just like going a year and not really seeing much progress, like that's going to probably burn you out in a way that you wouldn't if you were working in big tech and were making consistent salary.